The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for showing up. My name is Werner. I'm Director of Sales of North America. I'm actually just going to go over a quick high-level overview, a couple slides, and then I'm going to get right over to Robin, our Director of Technical Support, who's going to actually show you a live demo of some very cool new feature called storage groups with our version 16 release. So, from a very high level, simple point of view, it basically allows for centralized destinations of simultaneous backups, which means if you have a target, a cloud bucket, a disk bucket, it allows Retrospect now to grab multiple sources and direct it to that one single destination. If you guys afterwards, if you have questions, just so you know, you guys are on mute mode or whatever, but just type it in. We'll be watching for questions as we go along. This little deck here, it's in your handouts on the thing, so you can grab that if you'd like as well. Just if you want to get some of the details here, but really any information you need, just reach out to us, reach out to the support or sales team, and we'll get you all the links and information you need across the board. And the nice thing about storage groups too is the fact that not only does it make things much faster and stuff by utilizing, instead of having to do multiple backup sets to get those sources to that one centralized destination, but it's basically the same setup, same workflow, very simple to go set up. It allows you to do backup, transfer, grooming, everything across the board. So just like you're used to. So very cool new useful feature. Again, this is going to be a very quick demo and trainings. We're trying to do these new. We have our full monthly, technical demo trainings for you guys. But we're trying to just do these now, in addition, targeted trainings, demos for you guys to really kind of get to a specific one so you guys can get the information you need without maybe seeing a bunch of information you don't. So with all that, I will get you over to Robin. Again, any questions along the way, just type them in and we will respond to them as we go along.
Okay, well, are you ready to switch over to me?
I am doing it hopefully now. That should get you. All right, you should be seeing Robin.
I think that is it. There we go. Good morning, everybody. I'm Robin with Tech Support, and I'm going to do a quick demo of the storage group feature and kind of explain how it works. So the whole idea behind a storage group is it allows you to back up multiple computers or multiple disks to a single destination backup set at one time. And the reason why we say it's 16 times faster is you can run as many as 16 backups simultaneously to a single destination. And so the simplest way to demo this is through a proactive backup. So if I go inside Retrospect and I go to Automate on the left and I go to Proactive Backup, I'll create a new script, and I might call this something like Nightly Backup. And the source can be a lot of different things. It could be the local disk. It could be all the clients on the network. It could be mailboxes. I can have a whole combination of these things. And so for the demo, I'm just going to pick a whole bunch of these folders here, and I'm going to go to Add, and I'm going to go ahead and add some clients. Some of these are online. Some of these are offline. It doesn't really matter. Oops, a little too quickly clicked there. I'm going to add all those clients. So now I've got a proactive backup script with a pretty long list of sources. Some are local, some are clients, some are Mac, some are Windows. And I'm going to go to destination, and I'm going to create a new backup set. Now, when I'm working with storage groups, it can either be a disk set or a cloud set. For the demo today, I'm going to use disk, and I'm going to say next. And then down here at the bottom is a little check mark that says create as a storage group. So I'm going to check that box, and I'm going to call this my storage group set. And I'm going to go ahead and pick a disk. I've got a USB drive plugged into my machine. If I wanted to go to a NAS device, then I could go here and enter the UNC path into that NAS device. But in this case, I'm just going to use a local drive, and I'm going to select next. I can encrypt it if I want to encrypt it. I can enable grooming if I want to enable grooming, so I can purge out old data as the drive gets full. Save the catalog file, just say finish, and then select my storage group, click OK. So now I've got a script that's basically configured to run every day at a 24/7 because it's always active, to grab all these different sources and write to a single destination. Now, I'm just kind of pushing some of these windows aside. We can see right now under Activity Monitor, I have 4 executions available. It's based on the amount of RAM that I have. In my case, I've only got a small amount of RAM. If you have up to 16 gigs of RAM, then it would give you as many as 16 executions available to you. In my case, I don't have that much RAM, so I only have 4 available. And so when I click OK, it's going to start the proactive backup script. And once that script starts, it's going to allow it to run multiple executions to that single destination. So I'm going to click OK over here. I go to the proactive tab. We can see that it's starting to execute multiple operations. So I can go over here and I can see it's now trying to run all of these backups simultaneously to this one specific destination. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up another window while we're talking, and this is the Retrospect console over at console.retrospect.com. So this is our web interface that allows you to see monitoring and operations in real time. And in a few moments, it should populate the web console so you can see these operations that are actively running. Right now, it's in this kind of prepare for open file backup phase. I probably should have disabled open file backup for the sake of the demo, but in a moment that'll fire off. Now, one of the things you'll also see when you go to your backup drive, and my machine's pretty slow at this point, on the backup drive, I've got a folder called Retrospect, and inside that Retrospect folder is this storage group folder. And then inside there's now subfolders for each source that it's going to be backing up. And that's where the whole storage group thing works, is that it takes all of the data and all the sources, and it creates individual backup set data folders for each of those sources. And that's how Retrospect is able to achieve the simultaneous operations. We can see over here through the web console that Retrospect has got these operations running, showing them in real time through the console.retrospect.com webpage. And really, it hasn't started a backup yet because, like I said, I left the open file backup thing on, and I'm running in a VM, and I've only got about 4 gigs of RAM. And so this machine is really bogged down. Plus, I'm running the webinar. And so, yeah, it's not the fastest environment. But normally, what you would see happen is it would kick off probably the backup almost immediately of each one of those machines and start copying data. And then when one machine finishes, and you can see this one over here started, when one machine finishes, then it will free up the execution, and then another one can run. And it can do this as many as 16 at once. And so ultimately, that's what the whole storage group concept is about, is just allowing you to run multiple scripts or multiple backups simultaneously. You can use one script with one destination. To do this with a regular backup set, I would have had to have created as many as 16 backup sets in 16 separate scripts so I could run them all simultaneously. And so this really does create a lot of efficiency in terms of how it all works. Any questions about how the storage group concept works or how it might function in your environment? Because I definitely want to give you that opportunity to ask those sorts of questions while we're here.
And you have questions regarding proactive AI or how they change from, whatever. Yeah, said, you got Robin on the line here, so he can answer or show you whatever you need.
Now, some of the other advantages of the storage group concept is that if you groom a specific storage group, it doesn't need to run one thread. It can groom multiple threads simultaneously. And so as it's purging out old data, it can purge out the data related to each of these different sources in a single, at one time. So when you say, I want to groom, backups at A, it's not going to run one thread necessarily for grooming. It can run as many as 16 grooming threads all at once in order to be more efficient. The same is true for catalog rebuilds. If you find yourself needing to do a catalog rebuild for a storage group, it doesn't need to just run one simultaneous or one continuous catalog rebuild. It can run 16 individual catalog rebuild threads for a single backup set in order to increase the amount of time or decrease the amount of time it takes to perform that complete catalog rebuild. So it's a lot more efficient, not just during backups, but it's more efficient during grooming, and it's more efficient during catalog rebuilds. So you have a lot of more flexibility when it comes to that type of thing when working with storage groups. Hello to our German friend Stefan. I definitely appreciate you joining us. But really, that's really the heart of storage groups. And the real nice thing, if you haven't started using console.retrospect.com, is you can use a web browser from anywhere to monitor your backup operations in real time. And with Retrospect 16, I can pause them and I can stop them right through the web browser as well. And then I can see my storage predictions to get an idea of how much free space I have now, how much space my backups might be using in the future. I can see how much is being utilized on all my different drives. And I get this aggregated view of multiple backup servers. So if I'm managing multiple backup servers, I can view each of those backup servers, and I can view what's going on with those backup servers at any one time as well. And so all of this is really new to Retrospect 16, and it's really powerful, and it's going to get more and more powerful with each release that we make available to customers. Our next planned scheduled release, I think, is September, and we're going to add even more functionality to the Retrospect console, which is going to be great for every customer that's using this sort of thing. Now, if I stop this particular operation, then the proactive backup script should be able to then immediately or after this thing stops, should be able to identify the next source that needs to get backed up, and then it will add it to the next thread inside this operation. So if I go in here as an example, I stop this one. And if we wait a moment, we have two stopping, another one just fired up, and then this one is starting to go through polling, and it's grabbing all the different sources that it can find. Please explain why the predictions always show the same numbers today, next week, or next month. I don't know what you specifically are saying.
I think he's on the storage predictions.
Yeah, I don't know why they would be showing the same thing over here. I know that some of these have not been communicated with in a while. The backup servers are not all of these backup servers are online. And so, because these are our test environments. And so I don't know if that's the reason why. If you shoot me an email over to robin@retrospect.com, I can try and get an answer directly from the engineers for you about what's going on in terms of how those predictions work. Especially if you have an example in your environment, then I can find out as well relative to your environment. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see a difference. Let's see what the different fields are. Next week versus this week, it could be just referencing that this is how much we think is going to be used. Let's say, like the most recent prediction was that it used this amount, and then next week it's going to use the next amount. I don't know. I haven't dived that deep into it. Definitely shoot me an email so I can get you a direct answer from our engineers about how the predictions work. Then maybe it's something that I can give you. I'd like to give you an accurate answer rather than me guessing. And so I can go right to JG, who's the engineer that's programming this, and he can give us a specific explanation about how the predictions are calculated and where we pull that data from, because I would like to give you an accurate answer. In terms of how this storage group stuff works, I really don't have any additional info that I need to add to this. I don't want to waste everyone's time. I definitely would recommend trying it, using it for yourself. If you use a traditional backup script rather than a proactive backup script, the traditional backup script will typically only run one operation at a time because that's the way it's designed. If you want to run multiple operations simultaneously, then you want to use the proactive backup script because that's how proactive is designed. It's really it's a marriage between proactive backup and the storage groups in terms of being able to run the simultaneous operations. So keep that in mind. If you do a traditional regular backup script, then you'd probably want to have multiple destinations in there and then have them scheduled to run at similar times so that they can run simultaneously. Because that's just the way the regular backup scripts function. So, any other questions before Werner and I let you all go for the day?
All right, it looks like that's it, Rob. And again, and if you guys think of any questions, if you're looking at the handout or have additional questions, or just like you were mentioning about the management console, about storage predictions, or anything else, always feel free just to let us know. We're here to answer any questions you got. If again, if we don't know it, I said I've seen the same thing with the storage predictions too, where it doesn't seem to change like I would think it would or something. So, if that's ever a question or you ever got anything about that, let us know. We'll dig more into it and find out the specifics regarding it.
Yeah, and a question just came in, is it work the same way on the Mac? Just to be clear, when you go to media sets and you create a new media set on the Mac, you've got a button down here that says create storage group. So you create your disk storage group just like you do on Windows. And then after you create the disk storage group, you go to scripts, and you add your script, and you choose proactive AI as your script type. After you create your script, your source would be, could be all of the different machines you want to back up. And then your destination would be your storage group. So you would choose your storage group. And then after you choose a storage group and start it, it works identically to what it did on Windows. It just runs simultaneously. All of the sources you selected will go to the storage group destination, and it just runs seamlessly. There's really no additional steps to show. So that's why we don't usually show it on the Mac, is just because it's identical. But it's a great question. I definitely appreciate you asking that. Can you convert a media set? If you create a traditional disk media set and you want to use it as a storage group, you can't convert it, but you can do what's called a transfer. You can go to, if you're on Windows, you go to Tools, and you go to Transfer Backup Sets. And your source would be, let's say, a traditional disk backup set. I don't have one right now, but your source would be a traditional disk backup set. And then your destination would be your storage group set. And we can see there's some additional info that shows up now. Your destination would be your traditional set. And so it would copy all the data from, let's say, backup set A into the My Storage Group set. And then once all the data has been transferred from set A into the new storage group set, you can then delete set A. And the same thing goes on Windows, on the Mac. If I were to do it on the Mac, I would go to scripts, and I would create a copy media set script. And the source would be, let's say, a traditional disk set or cloud set. And then the destination would be our storage group set. And then you run that script, and then it will copy all the data from this location into the storage group. And then after the data has been copied, then you can delete the original one in order to gain your data. And so, yeah, you can't convert it, but you can transfer it. And then once it's transferred, then you're good to go using that new converted storage group set for all your future backup operations. So yeah, that was a great question. I'll try and remember that for the future demos. That's a good topic to cover. How do you convert it or switch over to using it? And like I said, it works with both cloud and traditional sets. If I go to, just real quick, if I go and create a new set, and I choose cloud, there's a checkbox down here for create as a storage group. So same principle, same simplicity in terms of differences in terms of how to create it. And if you're going to be doing multiple simultaneous operations to the cloud, make sure you have the bandwidth, obviously. If you have a really small pipe, then running 16 operations to the cloud may not be the best decision. But if you've got a really big, you happen to be lucky enough to have a fiber channel connection to the internet or something, then running 16 operations to the cloud may not be a big deal to you. It might be really easy, and it might be a really efficient way to start getting more data out to the cloud rather than trying to use one set. Well, the other thing I would show real quick is when you go to configure backup sets, it is a little bit different than before. When you go to configure backup sets and you get properties, there's different things to get properties on. You have the summary tab, and this will tell you that it's a disk storage group, and it gives you your session data and your snapshot and your summary info. It gives you your grooming options, gives you your members. But if you want to see information about specific snapshots, you need to drill down and get properties on those. And that's where you can see the snapshots and the sessions that are specific to the individual volumes. And in this case, most of these haven't been used yet, or they're in use. Here we go. Here's a good example. So every snapshot and session for this XP documents folder is inside its own little subcategory. And so you just have to keep in mind that every single volume you back up gets its own separate little entry underneath the storage group. And so you have the ability to drill down and see the specific details about that particular volume. This is the XP documents as an example. And so just keep that in mind, that they're separate items. There's also separate catalog files. So if I go to my documents folder, and I go to the Retrospect catalogs folder, this could be a little messy because I've got a whole bunch going on, but it created a folder called My Storage Group. And inside that folder are separate RBC catalog files for each of the sub catalogs that are part of that storage. You say, can you send things belong together? And if you happen to be moving from one machine to another or something, then you want to be able to move those things together also. And during a catalog rebuild, it rebuilds all of those things for you as well. So I think that's it, Werner.
Excellent. Well said. I think, yeah, I mean, that's a great demo. Thank you so much. Again, you guys, as I was mentioned earlier, if you've got additional questions, you think of additional ones, said sometimes those help us out because we're, we need to know what you guys need to know or what's a good point to point out. Again, if you do have any additional ones, just give us an email later. Hope you appreciate this. I think next month we have targeted training regarding remote backups. So keep a lookout for that. Again, we have our general ones as well. Said we got a lot of cool things coming out. You'll be hearing about stuff soon. We said we got the new release coming out in September. So a lot of good things coming up. Look forward to working with you guys during the year. Thank you so much for doing the demo, Robin, and thank you guys all for showing up.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good day.
All right.
You're welcome.